Okay, so mind control room operators. I gotta admit, when I first saw this week's topic, I was picturing, like dusty old helmets, maybe a pickaxe or two.
Yeah, not exactly the most high-tech image, is it?
Right. But then I actually dug into the source material you handed us, and wow, was I wrong.
What's fascinating is how much technology has transformed this whole role. We're not talking about dimly lit tunnels anymore. Picture a control room straight out of some sci-fi movie.
Seriously, walls of monitors, data streaming everywhere, blinking lights. It's a lot more spaceship console than coal dust.
Exactly. And you've
Yeah.
got to be able to command that kind of high-tech operation.
Which is where it gets really interesting, because this isn't just like knowing how engines work or whatever. Our sources say you're getting a constant stream of data from those control panels.
Absolutely. A mind control room operator needs to be able to analyze that data, got to troubleshoot any problems in real time. The decisions they make impact the entire operation, so it's high stakes.
So problem-solving skills, kind of like a detective or a doctor, but instead of a magnifying glass, you've got this crazy sophisticated tech setup. What really stood out to you about the day-to-day, though?
Well, the schedule definitely caught my eye. 12-hour shifts, often switching between days and nights, weekends, holidays.
Hmm.
It's not for everyone.
Wow, okay, so not exactly a 9 to 5. I guess it makes sense, though, right? Mining operations run 200 for 7.
Precisely. Someone needs to be at the helm, keep everything running smoothly no matter what. And that actually brings us to another crucial aspect that the materials highlight: teamwork.
Oh, right. Because it's easy to imagine someone just glued to those screens, making decisions in isolation. But the sources really emphasize that communication is key.
Exactly. You're in constant contact with the engineers, maintenance crews, the safety teams. Think of the control room as like the central nervous system of the mind, coordinating everything.
So you need to be comfortable not just with the data, but with people too. It's this unique blend of technical know-how and those all-important people skills. And it sounds like a combination that's in high demand.
That's right. The sources indicate that the mining industry is growing steadily, which is good news for anyone looking for job security.
Okay, so definitely not your average desk job. But like any career, there are some trade-offs. What did the materials have to say about the potential downsides?
Well, for one, those long, often unpredictable hours we talked about. And then there's the inherent risk factor of working with heavy machinery and complex systems.
Oh, right, and let's not forget about the need to constantly adapt to new technology. This isn't a field where you can just learn the ropes and coast.
Exactly. It's constantly evolving. But for people who thrive on challenge and continuous learning, there's definitely a clear path for advancement.
Okay, now I gotta know more. Tell me about this career ladder.
Well, typically you start as an entry-level operator, then move up to junior and eventually senior operator.
Well,
And with enough experience and additional training, you could even move into supervisory or management positions.
so there's room to specialize, become an expert in things like ventilation or safety.
Absolutely. It's not just a job, it's a potential career path with real growth potential. Who knows where you could end up?
That's so interesting, all this talk about high-tech systems and career ladders. It makes me wonder, what does the future hold for somebody who, like, wants to get into this field? Because with all the talk about automation and AI, feels like every job description needs to come with a crystal ball these days.
You're not wrong. And the cool thing is your source material actually dives into the big picture stuff.
Okay, good. So, like, paint us a picture. Future of mining. What are we talking? Robots replacing those hard hats.
It's not so much robots taking over, but more like a partnership between humans and really advanced tech.
Okay, so less about pulling levers, more about, like, programming the machines to do the work.
More like overseeing them. Imagine, future operators, they might be in those control rooms, but instead of controlling one machine, they're managing a whole fleet of autonomous vehicles.
Whoa. Okay, so less hands-on, more strategic.
Exactly. And that's where AI factors in. Think algorithms that find the best extraction routes, maybe predict equipment failures before they even happen. It frees up the operator to, think bigger picture.
Instead of reacting to a crisis, they're preventing it.
Yeah, that's got to feel pretty cool.
Right, but, and this is important, that means the skills those future operators need are going to be different too. Knowing how to fix an engine is good, but if the engine's running itself,
You need to know how to fix the program that runs the engine.
or even more than that, data analysis is going to be huge. Think, like, these operators are going to be swimming in information, needing to spot patterns, make sense of it all.
The data detective.
Exactly.
Yep.
And of course, being able to adapt to new tech constantly. That's a big one.
So, always learning. I can see how that would appeal to some people more than others. Definitely. But here's where it gets really interesting. Some people are saying that all this automation, even if it makes mining more efficient, it also might make the actual work, I don't know, less engaging for the human.
Oh, interesting. Because you're more removed from the, like, physical process.
Right. Like think about the difference between, say, a pilot and someone controlling a drone.
Totally different feeling, even if they're both technically flying.
Exactly. So will future operators need to specialize even more? Some who like the hands-on, others who are masters of the data. It's an open question.
Like surgeons versus, I don't know, medical researchers. Both in the same field, but doing very different things.
Perfect analogy. And you know what this all brings up? The impact on jobs in general.
Right, because if the machines are doing more, are there fewer jobs for humans? That's always the scary part of the future conversations.
Totally valid concern. And thankfully, your source material actually addresses it. Some experts say, yeah, some jobs might disappear, but new ones will pop up in software, data analysis, maintenance of these complex systems.
So not about no jobs, but different jobs. And making sure people have the skills for them.
Exactly. Like, imagine if blacksmiths back in the day were like, nope, cars will never catch on. Instead of
Well,
learning how to be a mechanic, it's about adapting to the changes.
okay, so we've covered the techie stuff, the skills, the career path, but we got to talk about the elephant in the room, right? I mean, you can't mine stuff without some kind of impact on the environment.
A huge question. And your source material really digs into it.
Well, good. So, like, what's the deal? Does a more automated mining future automatically equal, like, a bigger environmental mess?
It's not that simple. Think of it more like there are different possibilities.
Okay, I like possibilities. Give me the extremes. Like, what's the best case scenario, environmentally speaking, versus, the we messed up scenario?
Right. So best case, some experts think automation could actually be a good thing for sustainability.
Really? How
Yeah.
so?
Imagine this. AI that designs extraction routes that barely touch the surface, or that's so good at finding the good ore that there's way less waste. Or even like systems that detect leaks and spills instantly.
So instead of those oops, we had a mining accident headlines, it's more like having a robot watchdog, making sure everything stays clean and safe.
Exactly. Plus, when you make something more efficient, you often make it greener just by default,
Yeah.
using less energy, less materials.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. But I gotta imagine not everyone's convinced. What are the folks who are like less gung-ho about all this saying? What are they worried about?
Their big concern is that, yeah, maybe the individual mines are cleaner, but what if automation just means a whole lot more mining overall?
Oh, I see what you mean. Like, if it's cheaper and easier to get the stuff out of the ground, companies are going to want to get more stuff out of the ground. Even if each mine is more efficient, it might not matter if there are suddenly twice as many mines.
Exactly. Plus, there's something else that often gets overlooked in these conversations. E-waste.
Oh, okay, now you got to explain that one because I associate e-waste with, like, my old phone, not a giant mine.
Think about all the computing power behind this tech, right? Data centers, servers, all those super complex AI systems, they need raw materials too. And guess where a lot of those materials come from?
Mining, it's like a closed loop. We're using resources to extract resources that will eventually need more resources to dispose of. Kind of a mind bender when you think about it too hard.
Right, so automation might change the environmental impact of mining, but it doesn't make it disappear. It might even create brand new challenges that we're just starting to understand.
Lots to think about. So, after this whole deep dive into mind control room operators, the present, the future, the whole shebang, what's like the one big takeaway you hope our listeners are left with?
I think it's that this is an industry in flux, big time. And that's exciting. Whether you love machines, data, sustainability, whatever,
Yeah.
being able to adapt, to learn new things, to make good choices, that's going to be more important than ever.
Because at the end of the day, it's not just about digging stuff up, right? It's about shaping the future of like a whole industry that affects everybody. And on that note, that's a wrap on another deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, remember, the best way to predict the future is to go out there and build it.